Hey folks, welcome. Today is the completion of the first day of Ramadan 2026. I started my jiu-jitsu journey back in 2018, 2 weeks before Ramadan. The thinking was that it takes about 2 weeks for the body to adapt to something new. And so if I can get into jiu-jitsu at least 2 weeks prior to Ramadan and then train into Ramadan, then I have no excuse to continue training throughout. That was back in 2018. Currently running as a purple belt, and I am several Ramadans in with relation to being a practitioner of the martial arts while also adhering to and observing the fasting of the month of Ramadan. And so this video series is hopefully, I hope to maybe share the experience if you guys want to tag along with what it's like day to day in terms of different tips and learnings that I am coming across, and hopefully you would find that of benefit. Initially I was thinking this might be of benefit to all of my fellow jiu-jitsu practitioners, jiu-jitieros, who are also observing Ramadan. For sure you would definitely have a benefit in tuning into this, but this is basically my own thing today. So one of the things I did differently this Ramadan that I have not done in previous Ramadans is I took a conscious effort to prepare. Now, preparation for Ramadan in the Islamic tradition actually begins 6 months prior to the start of the month, and everything from what are the elements that one is looking forward to, whether it is the lifestyle, it is the habits and the self-improvement that one wants to make. And so now part of what has kind of helped, and I guess I've layered different aspirations and goals that I'm also hoping that the tradition that I follow from a religious standpoint and the rites and the rituals that go with it can also further facilitate my my progress within the art practice and growth in the area of jiu-jitsu. So one of those things is, well, before I get into what I've done in preparation to that, this Ramadan is different and from previous Ramadans in the sense that I'm over 40 years old now, right? And so and one of the things that comes with that is there is a difference. And I mean, not only am I over 40, I'm also a father of 2 children. And I got a 2-year-old and I got a 6-year-old. This is vastly different in terms of the way my situation was when I first started Ramadan. I was actually, not when I first started, when I first started training in jiu-jitsu back in 2018, I'd been married for just about a couple of years, and I started this martial art. Now I have a background in Kyokushin style karate and other mixed martial arts that I came into this with some background in grappling, so I wasn't completely unfamiliar. The new aspect of this was learning to grapple with the gi, and so that for me was the biggest learning curve. And so one of the things that but as the years progressed, right, I had 2020 I had my first kid, but then that's when COVID hit, and so that was a completely different experience. I came in at white belt. I did get to participate in one tournament. I got my blue belt, and then COVID hit, and for 18 months I was out in the sense of I didn't train, and like many people who didn't train for a while. Now, when I got back into the martial arts, or rather when I got back into training jiu-jitsu, I just felt like my entire time as blue belt was just sped catching up. Whether it, and I can say, like, there was 2 Ramadans around COVID and the beginning of my journey as a father, in fatherhood, that kind of approached things differently. During COVID, I put on about 40 some pounds. When I got my blue belt, I weighed in anywhere between 205 to 210. At my heaviest, I was like maybe 215. And then during COVID, I put on a ton of weight. In the sense, I think at one point I was close to 245 pounds, and so getting a lot of that weight off and slowly journeying back down to what I was before was a work in progress. By the time I got my purple belt, I was weighing in at about 215 to 220. And so getting back, and when I got to purple belt, one of the goals that I had was, I want to compete in 20 tournaments in 2 years. Although I may have shot myself in the foot with that aspiration, it was a nice goal to have. But it wasn't until my going into my third year of purple belt that I realized I hadn't really had the opportunity to compete, either because of family commitments or works and things like that. And finally, by the third year, I'm just like, hey, you know what? I don't care. I'm gonna compete. I'm gonna make this a priority, and I did. And come October, I competed in my first tournament since COVID. I've been in 5 tournaments now. I did October, I did November, December, and then in February, right? Yeah, so 4 tournaments, but 5 matches, I think. Yeah, something like that. And so now I haven't won any of my matches. However, I have seen marked improvement, and I've been documenting each of my fights. But the preparation that went into getting into being competition fit was fasting became a key element of the preparation protocol. Specifically the style of fasting that is in the Islamic tradition, which is before the break of dawn, you begin your fast. Before the fasting begins, you would consume something, right? Not too much, but something. Usually a date or a snack bar, protein, and hydration. And then you would go until sunset, and then at sunset, you would then break your fast. And so now, one of the things that's highly encouraged in the Islamic tradition is fasting throughout the year, specifically on 2 days a week, and also during what they call the white days, so the 2 to 3 days leading up to the full moon. So because the Islamic tradition follows the lunar calendar, so the month begins with the ending of the new moon, or rather, what's the new moon like? What's the new moon phase has started, and the month ends with the waning crescent until there is another new moon, and then when the new moon is sighted, the new month has begun. And so I had started getting into, now obviously I didn't fast every so the 2 days that's highly encouraged is to do Mondays and Thursdays, as well as those what they call the 3 white days. And then I try to do as many of those as I possibly could. And so that helped me get into, I guess, the weight cut that went into it, right? So my first tournament I participated in the 220 and under. The next tournament, I also did 220 and under. The third tournament I did was the Texas Finals, and that was 208 and under. And so at 208 and under, I did that in gi, and then 220 and under, I did no gi, only because I didn't have anybody in my bracket at 208 and under. So then I did the Houston Jiu-Jitsu World League 17, if I'm not mistaken, because they go by Roman numerals, and so I think it was 17. I had intended on doing 208 and under, with the hope that I would cut down to 195 and under, but I wasn't feeling too good, and so I decided I wanted to end the weight cut. About 2 days prior to the start of the tournament, I submitted a request to change my weight, and I requested just go ahead and put me to 223 plus, which is essentially open weight. And I started so I stopped my weight cut at 204, and then I weighed in at 217. Although I think the folks that I was mashed up with for my fights, one was I think 260, the other was like 240. So I was definitely outweighed, but I did rather well. But anyway, so the reason I'm sharing all this is because I just kind of wanted to share where I'm at, and how, although I used the tournaments as a short-term goal thing to really, get me to focus on the weight cut, but it also allowed me to prepare for Ramadan. And so today was day one. I feel great, alhamdulillah. And so I'm actually off to do fundamentals right now, and then once fundamentals are over, I'm gonna head over to prayer services. But um, but basically, this is a quick recap of day one. Hopefully, I'll be sharing some nutrition tips and things like that. Things that have worked for me, maybe might work for you. Let me know down in the comments below what you would like to see in this coming month, what you're curious about with relation to fasting and Ramadan. Let me know. I'm your bro. Love to answer questions. I'll see you soon.